Hello everyone. The car in this video is in serious disrepair, and two men step out with a clear purpose. They head towards an old barn where a classic car sits. The careful process of retrieving the car begins. A winch cable is attached, and slowly, the car is lifted out of its long slumber into the light of day. With a final tug, it is safely secured on the trailer, ready for its journey to a new life. They close the gate behind them, leaving the old farmhouse behind, and head towards the workshop. At the garage, a forklift carefully moved the car inside, placing it in the center of the restoration space. The first job was to explore the interior. Inside, a time capsule awaited. The glove compartment revealed the original 1,961 owner's manual and identification papers, perfectly preserved. The odometer was frozen at over 64,000 miles, a testament to its history. After finding some treasures inside, attention turned to the trunk. The lock was locked, forcing them to drill it out. Inside, they discovered a treasure trove of vintage parts, including a spare tire, a vintage jack, and even an original carburetor hidden in a box. Opening the hood revealed the biggest challenge yet. The engine compartment was filled with a giant rodent nest and decades of accumulated debris. Wearing masks and gloves for safety, the men began the painstaking task of cleaning the engine. Handful by hand, the debris was removed. Finally, a high-powered vacuum cleaner was brought in to suck up every bit of dirt, preparing the classic rocket engine for its full restoration. With the new battery installed, the moment of reckoning arrived. The key turned, and after a few hesitant coughs, the classic Oldsmobile engine roared to life, roaring loudly as it cleared its throat after decades of silence. The team immediately set to work repairing the fuel system. The fuel tank neck was completely clogged with an old wasp nest, which they carefully cleared before pouring in fresh gas. Next, they filled the radiator with fresh coolant. However, the engine still wouldn't run smoothly, and they quickly diagnosed a problem with the fuel pump. It wasn't drawing fuel from the tank. After attempting to clean and prime the original pump without success, they decided to test a spare pump they had found earlier. After a quick check confirmed that the spare pump was working properly, they set to work replacing the faulty part. The old pump was unbolted, and the new one carefully installed, finally allowing fuel to flow properly into the engine. With the engine running, they turned their attention to the brakes. The master cylinder was dry, so they used a vacuum cleaner to suck out the old gunk before adding fresh brake fluid. However, when they pumped the brakes, they discovered a serious leak from the master cylinder itself. Replacement was the only solution. They removed the old corroded bolt and installed a brand new one. To inspect the entire system, they jacked up the car, removed the wheels, and removed the rusted brake drums. Inside, the brake components were fully secured. The restoration continues with a trip to the junkyard. The two men find a car and carefully remove the trunk lid and replacement doors, loading the salvaged parts onto a trailer for the return trip to the workshop. Once they arrive, they begin the meticulous process of disassembly. The old damaged door is unhooked and removed, followed by the trunk lid. Once the body panels are removed, the real work begins. An orbital sander is used to remove layers of old paint and rust, exposing the bare metal underneath. Once the surface is prepared, they identify a few dents, marking them with a pen before deftly using a hammer and a push cart to smooth them out. After grinding the area, a new batch of body filler is expertly mixed and applied, filling in the imperfections. Once the filler has cured, it is sanded until it is completely flush with the original body lines. This process was repeated over the entire car, sanding the hood and rear deck to prepare the surface for the new finish. Any small rust holes were carefully sealed and sanded smooth. Finally, the car was completely covered with plastic sheeting, masking off any areas that would not be painted. A batch of high-quality primer was mixed and loaded into the spray gun. With smooth, even strokes, a fresh coat of primer was applied to the hood, trunk, and body panels, creating a uniform protective base. The classic Oldsmobile was now one step closer to being fully restored to its former glory. The focus now turned to the interior, where the team began the painstaking task of stripping down the old, rotting cabin. They pulled up the old carpet, revealing a rusty floor underneath, then scraped and vacuumed to remove every bit of debris. The vintage seatbelts were also thoroughly cleaned, restoring them to their former glory. Once the interior was cleaned up, attention turned to the seats. The rear seats were removed and meticulously prepared for a complete refresh. Using a vinyl spray paint and specialist fabric, they carefully applied a new coat of dark blue paint, restoring the original color. Some areas were masked off to recreate the classic two-tone design, with a lighter blue and silver accents, bringing the pattern back to its former glory. The process was repeated on the front bench seats, transforming the old upholstery into something new. Once dry, the beautifully restored seats were carefully reinstalled into the car. The team didn't stop there. Every surface was meticulously cared for, from the door panels to the windows polished to a sparkling shine. As a final touch, a set of vintage rear window shutters were restored and installed, along with vintage chrome emblems carefully polished and reattached. With the garage door open, the stunning, fully restored Oldsmobile was revealed. It was taken out for its first drive at dusk, gliding smoothly onto the open road, a testament to the dedication and skill of the team. Thank you for accompanying us through every step of this restoration.